Yeah. Uh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of River City 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr. It is joining me. It's a guy that is happy, slightly, to still be undefeated against Northern Colorado. It's Mr. Matt Myers. How are you doing, sir?
Doing all right. I mean, yeah, definitely at a minimum half happy.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that's kind of the overarching tone of this game and how the season been so far. Like, we're not disappointed, but we're not over the top happy. It's kind of just like been neutral, like even kill so far. It's kind of feel like we've been stuck in neutral this entire the start of the season so far.
I think that's probably fair. It's been going, but it's not really going.
Yeah, we're still waiting for our first home win. Yeah, it's kind of feel a little slow so far.
It's all right. Long season. We're only 4 games into 32, so plenty of time. And last season, didn't exactly pick up until summertime came around. So yeah, it could be a lot worse right now. We could be Greenville.
That is entirely true. That result shocked everyone, but we're not here to talk about that pink team and that green team. We're here to talk about the boys in red-ish, black and red. Maybe the jerseys are to blame for the slow start in the attack.
No comment.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a 0-0 game against Northern Colorado. Matt, I'll let you know. I'll ask you. Like, for me, it kind of felt like after the 60th minute, it kind of felt like both teams were just like, all right, we're going to just go for this draw. Like, it just kind of felt like for the entire game, it felt like both teams were still trying to fill each other out. There were a lot of changes tactically, I felt like, and it just kind of like both teams were just kind of cool being stuck in neutral.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I might even say before the 60th minute. I mean, even in the first half, like that first half hour, not a ton really happened at all. Like Northern Colorado had one shot from pretty far outside the box.
Yeah,
really actual trouble. I mean, the kickers did absolutely zero. That started out. It looked like they were perfectly happy to waste time.
Yeah. It does feel that way. My fault. I don't know why my screen just went super slow for some reason. Yeah, no, it does kind of does feel that way. I mean, I know NoCo, they didn't have Ivan Parra out there in the field. It also felt as if like NoCo was fine. They were kind of pretty much fine sitting very deep in the later part of the game. In the first part of the game, they were kind of playing like a 4-4-2, and they will push number 7, his name was escaping me, and Arthur Rogers like high up. Like there was like points in the game where like Arthur Rogers was playing like attacking mid at some points. In the second half, he went into center back because I guess they had an injury or something. But it's kind of like if he wasn't creating anything, NoCo was just fine. Like, all right, we'll just sit back. And yeah, I didn't realize this, huh?
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, it felt like from the start, both teams were, more playing not to lose than maybe playing to win.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. That's how it really feels right now. Like, I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about Richmond's struggles right now in the offensive part, but I want to talk a little bit more about the positives of this team so far. Like, I think the two strongest parts of this team is the back line and the midfield right now. Like, they seem to be carrying this team somewhat more. Let me rephrase that again. The midfield in terms of defensive structure and also trying to get up to the final third to create something. Once you get to the final third, it hasn't clicked yet. But so far, the buildup has been nice.
Yeah, I think once you rephrase it that way, it works well. this team holds the ball a lot more, and a lot better than the last year's team. Part of that could just be designs of everything, but they're not beating themselves. They're not allowing the opportunities, for teams to really, carve them up too often to be, get caught out into 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s where somebody's having to make a hero play, to defend.
Yeah,
pretty consistently, it's super low percentage shots, hidden hope, sort of situations, and the defense has done a really good job of being able to corral all that up. Same thing with the midfield. I think Zach has done a really good job this year of quietly shielding and protecting the defense. Suko's been kind of everywhere, doing a little bit of everything. So on the defensive side, playing without the ball, no qualms whatsoever.
Yeah. I want to ask you this: Are you going to apologize to Suko? Because game one, you were like, I don't see what he's doing out there. Like, do you feel like?
I mean, seeing it in person helped and made a difference.
Yeah.
I still blame the jerseys for part of that, from literally not being able to sometimes pick out who he was because you couldn't read the number on the shirt at all, and generic white guy on the field and white shirt kind of blends in a little bit.
That's true.
So that's where I'm placing the blame on that. But I think he's he's a workhorse. He doesn't seem to get tired in the middle at all. I think he still has levels to be able to step up further, especially with attacking contribution. But in terms of just kind of being a do it all box to box kind of guy right now, he's stepped in and done well for his name.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned it last week, and I keep jogging back to it about like this year's team is not like last year's team, and like I think another strong facet of this team is just really how this back line has really just came together. I mean, Meacham had a strong performance yesterday, even though it was his USL League One debut. He didn't look out of step at all. Like, he pretty much fit in pretty well. Willie Palms, by the way, I told him that his nickname was Willie Palms, and he absolutely loved it. He was like, I like that one. I was like, I'm glad you did. He had a great showing last night. Didn't look under pressure way too much, even on the save he had on. It wasn't the Arthur Rogers side. It was
Lucic in the first half.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it was Lucic that took that long one that from our end of the stadium, I think looked like it was going to be a lot more challenging than it actually ended up being.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, it ended up being offsides anyway. But he had an amazing save where he just tipped it over the bar. And Darren actually shouted him out at the pros game. Well, he shouted out Akira about how Akira is probably the greatest goalkeeper coach in USL history, because Austin Causey had an amazing performance last night against Tormenta, and Willie Palms has kept another clean sheet. So Akira is a really good coach, as we can tell.
Coached himself out of a job.
Probably did. Probably did. But yeah, in terms of build-up play, what I noticed last night sitting up in the press box was, first of all, a lot of the play was going to the left-hand side. So, like, they kept Richmond kept trying to attack the left. Like, either it was a long ball to Belmar or a Gordon, or they would try to do, very quick, that very, 1-2 touches on the left-hand side. Now, on the right side, it wasn't really direct. It was more kind of like build-up play, sort of. Like, try to get Bentley kind of coming more inside to help out and whatnot. I don't know. Like, to me, it just felt as if everything was very left dominant, and Belmar and Gordon both struggled last night to get past the fullbacks.
I mean, I'll agree that Belmar and Gordon both didn't have their best games, but I thought that last 15 minutes of the first half, the team went heavy right side, and that's where Bentley and Simon were probably their best segment of the game, actually being able to get in, hit some cross. I mean, not many of the crosses actually became dangerous, but racking up some corner kicks, right? Consistently dangerous looks, and felt again, that was probably the 15 minutes where we looked most likely to score the entire game. That's where the penalty shout came from. So it felt like the attack went in waves. It seemed to be like, all right, let's try to cram it down the left side. All right, nothing doing there. Let's try to figure something else. Right side, okay, it's working here. Let's keep going to that. Let's keep going to that. Let's keep going to that. And for a brief moment, it was working.
Yeah, it seemed like most of our best moments of the game, like, were coming down the right side. The moments where stuff was breaking down and we kind of get into trouble is when we kind of went down the left. I mean, Bentley had, even though he didn't score, he had a really strong performance. I think we all can agree it was a penalty. Was Bentley looking for it? Yes, absolutely. That's his job as an attacker, to try to look for that penalty there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he had a strong performance. The only criticism I have on the right side is with Simon, but we all know, like, Simon defensively, he's up there. He's good. Attacking wise, I think he's still trying to figure out the nuances, because a lot of them crosses kind of left you wanting more.
Yeah, he doesn't look natural pushing forward yet to me.
Yeah.
It's like he looks like he's consciously thinking about what he's doing, and maybe that's not really the case, and that's just how his body mechanics work. But it always looks to me like he's not totally comfortable doing. Like, he knows what he's supposed to do, but he's not. Something's not there, for him quite yet, because he's getting into the right spots, getting out the field and everything.
It's almost like he's still, like, trying to fine tune. Like, he's either, like, he'll have a cross that's either overcooked or have a cross that's, like, undercooked. It is like he's still trying to figure out, like, all right, where do I best kind of place this at? You can tell, like, it's still not.
Yeah. I think the other thing that didn't help, Belmar or Owain on the left is Hornsby being out. Because those first 3 games, he was a menace, providing attacking options up the left side. And you made reference to it earlier. Meacham got his first league start yesterday, and defensively I thought he did very well. But he's not Hornsby going forward yet. No. I think he seemed like he had the instruction to, all right, play it safe. If there's really something there, go forward. But otherwise, keep it simple right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we've seen, this is year 4 of Darren now. We know that his teams are at their best when the outside backs are really able to get up and make a positive effect on the attack. And just for the current setup right now, it's not there.
Yeah, no, it's not there. And I mean, yeah, it's not. I'm trying to figure out how to best ask you this question. Do you think that is affecting the final third play at all? Because right now it just seemed like the outside forwards are kind of struggling one-on-one to get past the fullbacks and help create play, to give Emiliano touches. Like, he only had 12 in the game, and I think 4 of them inside the box. Do you think the fullbacks, with them not being able to create the width and help out the outside forwards, do you think that's kind of slowing things down?
I don't know if slowing things down is maybe the right word, but I think it's having an impact. Because again, I mean, let's think back to what were the real golden moments in Charlotte and Greenville especially. They were pretty much all when Hornsby was flying up the side, and that was allowing Belmar to be able to tuck in a little bit more. It also gave him an extra outlet, somebody to play with out there. I know we ideally don't want to compare to previous years, but you think back to when Payne was out on the right, or Antley was out on the right, and conversely, think back to when your boy Calvo was out on the right, and how things kind of got imbalanced there a little bit too.
Yeah.
So I think the the wide attackers aren't playing at their best right now, and certainly could help if they had more assistance from the fullbacks, but I don't think that's the only reason they aren't playing well either.
Okay. So we got that. I mean, outside of talking tactical wise, we'll come back to that, man. Emmy, I mentioned it earlier. He only had 12 touches. He seemed to have a rough day, man, getting beat up physically. I had it down here in my notes. It was particularly funny to me. The 38th moment, I think there was like a foul inside the box or something. Something happened, and Emmy was on the ground, and a NoCo player tried to pick up Emmy, and Emmy just fell back down to the ground. Like he just seemed to have a rough day. Like I went through a look through the last couple of games that we've had so far this season. Average number of touches have been anywhere between, I think his lowest before this game was 22. His highest was 33. Like those seem to relate to the number of touches. What about yesterday made it so difficult? Like, what did NoCo do to limit the number of touches that he had?
Yeah, so I think there's a few different things that happened. So one, the ref had a very light whistle going yesterday. I think even within the first minute, Emmy got hit pretty hard, and nothing got called.
Yeah. I remember that.
So and we've talked about this in the past. One of the things Emmy does well for this team is collect the ball in the general midfield area and draw a foul, allow the team to be able to reset, shift up. That wasn't happening right from the start. There were a couple other times where he did get a call, one or two other times, but even then it seemed like almost a delayed whistle. Like, oh yeah, okay, I guess I got to call this, sort of thing. So I don't think that helped, the cause. I mean, they had, Cornwall and Evans, and it seems like, teams are happy to really bracket Emmy at this point. I mean, there's no sneaking up on other teams with him by now. You win the Golden Boot 3 years in a row. You win the MVP 3 years in a row. You're not catching anybody by surprise these days.
I think that's all right.
Right. So I mean, if I'm an opposing coach, my game plan is, take away Terzaghi, make one of these other guys beat you.
Yeah, and right now they haven't shown the ability to beat you.
Yeah.
I want to pose this question. It might be a little sacrilegious, but do you think Darren, with this week off, and obviously we got the DC United game coming up, do you think Darren might change the system? Like, when it comes to Darren the systems, we know it's 4-3-3 or 4-1-4-1, but it's really about trying to get in behind and creating those moments of danger, isolating a defender. Do you think something like a 4-4-2 might help? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. Because I think both Belmar and Bentley might be better in a 2 up front than they are in their current positions. What I'm trying to think about and figure out is just what the 4 in the midfield might look like.
So I have a suggestion. So I think you go with if Darren thing is if we've seen so far this kicker team with Darren is that this team wants to have a little bit more possession. They want to hold the ball a little bit more. And I think there's a way how you can kind of sneakily do it. It might be a little lopsided, but I think you can sneakily do it. So I think on the left side, I'm in favor of putting Jao Gamario out there. I think you put Jao. My fault. Correct that. Neil. I think Neil goes out on the left. I think Suko and Zaka go in the middle. And on the right, I think you still go Bentley with Belmar and Terzaghi up top. Because Bentley defensively is he's a good defensive player.
He can be, but is that using him at your best? Like, you're pulling him even farther away from goal then.
Well, no, but he's the one that I trust more out of any of the attackers to at least help out defensively. Like he can come back and help out that way. And he can still be an option if those two attackers are playing up higher. That's my suggestion. But what do you think?
Yeah. So for me, I'm not personally opposed to the idea. I don't think Darren would make a change if it's going to, potentially negatively, affect the way the defense has been playing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because you got something good going there. You don't want to blow that up, chasing something that may or may not exist, especially going into a game where realistically we're going to be playing a lot of defense. And we'll talk more about that next week. But I think that's the reason why the change might not happen right now, because here's the other thing that we have 4 real. I'm not counting the first Open Cup game. 4 games of data to look at now. I don't think Darren has a ton of belief in his depth yet.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
He was all set to run out there with 1 change yesterday, and that was not in the midfield even. Like the only reason they brought Chandler on was because Neil was hurting and asked to come off in the 90th minute.
Yeah. So I saw that, and I was just wondering, is it more of a situation of we don't have a game next week? We have essentially a week and a half off before we play DC United. Like these guys go almost 80-ish, like let the starters go a little bit more longer into the game? Or do you
I would buy that a lot more if he hadn't left subs on the plate every single game this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? We've seen other games where he he didn't change in Zhao or Chandler, or he's had games where Greenville, where we had the lead, where he I think left Gordon on the bench the whole game. But like the way I'm looking at it at this point is he's got probably 3 subs that he really trusts. One of them is one of the goalkeepers.
Yeah.
One of them's Measham, who's now pressed into a starter role because Hornsby's out.
Yeah.
And the other one, is whichever of the 3 wingers isn't in.
So let's say Gordon, Palmquist, Meacham. I will do Zhao in there.
Really?
No.
I mean, he's got in either of the last 2 league games. He didn't play yesterday. I can't remember if he played in the Charlotte game or not.
I think he might have. I think it might have been later, but I don't think he was influenced anything at that point. It's also hard to remember because of the delay. And I know he got pulled off at halftime at the Cup game as well, so maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that Darren's sold on him, because I know I said we shouldn't compare to last year, but even think back to last year, like he had no problem pulling Neil or Ethan or some of these guys out mid game, and even putting in like Candela or some other guys to fill out time and run around, and he has not done that this year.
No, he hasn't. I mean, even in the press game conference, you could tell like Darren's attitude was it was someone that just got finished being very frustrated about a multitude of things, whether that's the refs or certain attacking players as well. And he didn't throw any players on the bus, but you could tell he was just frustrated. If you're Darren, how do you solve the issues in the attack of there? Because and I know there's been a talking point about we've only scored 2 goals so far this year in 4 games. But on the flip side, you've only gave up 2 goals in 4 games and got 3 clean sheets as well. So if you're Darren, how do you try to solve this, but also keep that defensive stability up and going?
I mean, I guess if I knew that, I'd have a job like Darren's, and I wouldn't be talking here on a an operated podcast. But
right. I don't know. It's just something I've just been thinking about, man. Because I mean, if you had to look at our winter signings, I'm assuming that Belmar is kind of the star signing of the signing so far this winter, right? He's the one that's.
I mean, I don't see who else could be.
He's the biggest name. Not Belmar, my fault. Bentley has done well so far. Gordon's been good, but to me, I still think of Gordon as a super sub.
Okay.
I'm just struggling to find is the answer to kind of take Terzaghi off and kind of play maybe someone that's a little bit more, not saying Terzaghi isn't mobile, I'm not saying that, but play someone that can, I don't know, give you a different start and bring Terzaghi on later on in the game to affect with tired legs.
I mean, maybe, but I don't think he's a tired legs, take advantage kind of guy, just because that's not his style. His style is just, sneaking to the right spot in front of you.
Yeah.
scores goals that way. So I get what you're saying, and I don't know if it's just continuing to mix and match. I don't know if maybe it is rolling the dice and telling Suko to be more direct when he has the ball and dribble forward with it rather than look to pass forward with it. Maybe just tell the guys to shoot from 25 if you see something.
Yeah.
See if you can steal one that way somewhere. But I mean, clearly what's going on right now is not working, and it's not a matter of we're just getting unlucky and running into great goaltending. Chances just haven't been coming.
Yeah, the chances haven't been far in between. And I mean, we did have one good chance. It was Nathan Ani's solo man run in like the 56th minute.
I know, great run. It was probably like maybe like 9th or 10th choice, on the team of who you'd want, to be the guy that actually ended up in that exact spot.
So when he shot it, like once again, I'm sitting up in the press, but when he shot it, I saw it hit the side of the net. I was like, "Oh, snap, he scored!" And then I saw it like hit the thing.
No, his got saved.
Yeah, but it had no lift on it. Like I think he shot it like all fours.
Oh, I mean he did like the proper thing that you're taught. Keep it low. On the ground, so that way he didn't sky the ball, into the stands or anything. But Delgado is a good keeper. I mean, he definitely seems like he's been an upgrade for Colorado, for Northern Colorado, so far. And it's going to take a little bit better to beat him there. Although at least it was a shot, because even that last shot we saw when Bentley hit it, and it might have been stoppage time, or maybe it was just before stoppage time, where finally tested him and he spilled the ball out for a corner.
Yeah, he did. There feel like there's opportunities there, but it felt like a lot of our best attacking moments are like we're asking for individual brilliance. It doesn't feel like anything that's coordinated or like built upon. It does kind of feel that way. You know what? I'm gonna ask you this about Suko and kind of like Neil. What is it that's kind of like slowing up these attacks, man? Because it felt like a lot of times we get into the final third, a lot of the attacks just break down because like a ball is either overplayed or underplayed, or someone's late to get into a spot. Like, do you think we're still in that everyone's trying to learn everyone phase?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I would hope we're past that, by now, because they probably started preseason 2 months ago.
Yeah, but we
2
all
months
know
ago.
preseason is way different than like live action. Like,
But still, I mean, they've literally played 5 real games now.
That's true.
And it's not like they've been rotated around. There's been the guys out there. So maybe there's a little bit of that. Like I see it a little bit different than how you see it. I don't see the attack getting slowed down because the guy's in the wrong spot. I see the attack getting slowed down because maybe guys aren't as willing to take a chance, and we just go back and cycle the ball back through again, and we lean maybe too heavily on Dakota and Nathan in the back line as that kind of safety valve. It's like, all right, I don't see the exact right thing that I want to see. Let me go back to them, start over, and we get back into that cycle. And there's something to be said for keeping possession and for not forcing it. But I think sometimes you got to take a chance to make a chance.
Yeah.
Other than Neil, sometimes trying to dance through players, like there's not that much.
Man, that was I can't remember the moment, but that was a magical move he did. I think he slalomed through like two or three NoCo players. I think he got fouled too.
Yeah,
but it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I loved it. The point you just made about the center backs and whatnot, I didn't see it too much this game, so that gives me like hope that like, all right, they recognized it, but it wasn't too much buildup in the back that led to like dangerous moments. I mean, it might have been one. Can't remember now, but it might have been one. But it seemed a lot better. Like they tried to play quicker, but like you said, like when they get them to the final third and they can't find that exact moment or like that exact pass they want to, they kind of siphon it back through and they're kind of moving it side to side, trying to figure out like, all right, what's the best side to get to.
Yeah, and I think teams are going to be happy to let us do that, for a while until, the guys, show they have the ability to be able to open something up. Because, we've been talking about how good our defense has been, and they have been, but one of the only real times I thought NoCo might actually score was in the second half when one of their guys took it upon himself and started dribbling through into the box, and his shot curled wide.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that was Norty.
I don't remember.
It might have been.
I don't care who the person was. Unimportant to us. But I mean, that's the sort of thing you don't see our guys doing, or at least not doing it successfully.
Yeah.
Very often, and especially if it's in the box, maybe their player will be sloppy and chop you down. And I mean, but, if the kicker's at home, they probably won't get the penalty call anyway, based off of record of late. But at least you're trying something, you're mixing it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't think this ref called a yellow card to like the 65th minute. Like you said earlier, he was like really light with the whistle. But I mean, there are moments where like, the team does get in the box, and I feel like we're being overly negative, so we'll get to some more positive stuff after this. But it does feel like when the team get into the box, they're kind of still like overthinking it a little bit instead of just, like you said, just being direct. Maybe that is the thing. Like maybe Darren is just like, yo, I just need y'all to be more direct. Like trust yourselves and go ahead and just take a chance. Maybe the answer is having Dakota take shots out from 25 yards out and see if he can just lace it.
Maybe, or encourage Suko or Neil to hit one every now and then.
Yeah.
If it goes over, whatever.
Yeah. At least attempt a shot. So we'll see that, man. So yeah, I feel like this is the best way to wrap up this game. I mean, it kind of felt like both teams were kind of stuck in neutral, and we went about it. Last night, this question just popped in my head. So, so far this year, we've played a Charlotte team that's, I think it's fair to say, probably one of the better teams to start the year off.
Probably.
We've played against a Greenville team that has got everyone's predictions wrong. It has been one of the worst teams in League One so far.
Not one of.
Well, yeah, the worst team in League One so far. And we played a Northern Colorado team that has the best defensive record so far. They haven't given up a goal yet. I think in 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, our next game up is against South Georgia Tormenta. They had, they had a poor showing last night against Lexington, losing 2-1. Also another poor showing against they beat Greenville, lost to NoCo, lost to Charlotte. So they kind of been up and down a little bit so far. Do you think that's the game where we can kind of see the kickers kind of have more opportunities? Because we've had success against Tormenta, getting it behind and creating chances. Do you think now, like, we've gotten past those opponents? Do you think things might be changing or hoping to see things change?
I mean, it's possible, just because Tormenta's never been a team that's really been, a lockdown defensive team.
Yeah.
They've always been, even in their good, moments, lean a little bit more towards, shootout style soccer rather than, defensive solidity. I think the question is, I think both. I don't know what day Tormenta's game is, but both teams have that Open Cup game midweek as well.
Mm-hmm.
So is that going to end up affecting, the lineups that get played in the league match? Because I don't think either team is necessarily blessed with so much depth right now. I mean, a little bit more Tormenta's is due to injury, from what I've gathered, but it's hard to say, just because I think that could be a game where we actually do see some different rotation pieces come in, because it'll be a Wednesday to Saturday turnaround, and I've got to imagine Darren's going to go for it on Wednesday.
Yeah, I imagine so. So Tormenta's upcoming games is Friday night they play Knox on the road, then they go to Charlotte on the road, and then they face us at home on Saturday. So they have an extra game to deal with. We don't. We have this week off. DC United Tuesday, and then we go down to Tormenta.
Wednesday.
I mean, my fault. Wednesday. My fault. Yeah, Wednesday. I don't know why I keep thinking Tuesday. So that's how it works out for us. The next upcoming games for Richmond, though, however, after that, you have Union Omaha, Greenville, NCFC, Lexington, and then Tormenta again. So I kind of feel like the schedule might be loosening up, so we can get a little bit more in that second half.
I mean, honestly, I just think it's too early to say.
Yeah,
because nobody would have thought Greenville would be, absolutely dead last right now. But was it last year that they started completely slowly, or was it 2 years ago that they started completely slowly and then moved up the table really quick?
I think it might have been last year. I think
it's happened before.
Yeah,
is the point. And there have been Fuego started off red hot last year, and we saw what happened.
Yeah,
by the end there. So I think it's a little too early to say. I think both as fans, but also kind of the League One media podcast circuit, way too overreactionary. Based off of whatever the last result was. Because everybody just being all on Knoxville's bandwagon after their first win, and getting ready to pump them up to do everything. That they haven't done anything since then. Everybody ready to bury Madison because it's fun, and then they turn around and absolutely slap Greenville around. Chattanooga had a rough first game, and everybody's like, oh, they're terrible, they're going to be awful all year, and they've been pretty good since.
Yeah, I still think it was terrible. They're not terrible, but yeah, I'll wait and see. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I think I'm kind of the boat, man, when it comes to League One, and because you don't know a lot of the players that are coming in, you don't know how players are going to react. There's not a hell of a lot of footage out there. I think my rule of thumb now is to wait 10 games, see how it goes in those 10 games, and then you kind of get a good picture of how it's going to go after that. So it's still early doors for this Kickers team, and maybe things can click. Maybe this week they got off, they could get the rust out, and maybe we'll score 3 against DC and 4 against Tormenta, and then everyone's going to love us all over again.
Yeah, I think an important thing to keep in mind and keep some perspective on is, yes, not everybody's played the same amount of games, but A, in a playoff spot right now.
Yeah.
Right. And B, wasn't a great game, wasn't pretty on Saturday, but a not great game that wasn't pretty, still led to a point rather than a loss.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the good thing. I think that's the part I think we need to end on the positive. Is it wasn't a loss. Yes, the draw sucked, but it's a point earned against a very good defensive team in NoCo. And effectively, they didn't create any dangerous chances outside of the Arthur Rogers shot. They came out of nowhere. And even that, think about it. They didn't break down the defense to create that shot. It came off of a couple of deflections. Arthur Rogers just take a whack at it.
Yeah.
It wasn't as if they combined play to create that chance or anything.
Right. They didn't carve us open or anything.
No. Jake Meacham, I feel comfortable with him being the fullback until Hornsby's back ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's a positive. Center back pairing, it looks solid. And Ani, I feel he's getting into that role a lot more comfortably. I feel about that. I feel good about that. Simone did a good job out there. That's what Nathan calls him, Simone. So he did an excellent job out there. Right back, Willie Palmquist, he's done an amazing job at goalkeeper filling in for Akira. So when Akira's back ready to go, we know if anything happens to Akira, we got a good backup there that can fill in. Matt Bentley, he led up another strong performance from the U.S. Open, came into this game. He looked dangerous. He looked like he was creating chances. Only thing missing is a goal or an assist. That's the only thing missing. He did everything he could possibly do. He popped them in the right spots. He didn't
drew a penalty.
Yeah, drew a penalty that didn't get called. Neil once again looked like he was creating play. Looked like he was doing really well. Suko was connecting play, helping to clean up some of the mishaps for Zaka and whatnot. Zaka didn't look on his own. And Zaka, who won man of the match, did his very Zaka quiet job all again.
Yeah, it's the dumbest sounding statement of all time, and I realize how dumb this is before I say it. They're doing everything right other than scoring.
Yeah, essentially that's it.
Which, I mean, minor piece of soccer, but
that's it. That's the only thing that's missing. So fans, just calm down a little bit. The goals are going to come. They're going to come. But right now, I think if this team is getting the results, having strong defensive performances, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And
while we're on the positive notes, then who are your top three from Saturday?
Oh, easy. So my top three, number three, I will give to Ani. Two, I will give to Dakota, and one, I will give to Jake Meacham. That's right. I will give it to them. Back line. They did an amazing job, man. They did an amazing job. I can't fault them on that.
Yeah, I mean, mine were very similar. I gave my three to Zaka because just like you were just talking about a minute ago, quietly, cleaned everything up. Didn't even, allow.
Didn't get a yellow card. That's a good Zaka game. That's a great Zaka game.
Yeah, it's not a typical Zaka game.
That's true. That's true. But, I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing.
I mean, he saw who the ref was. He was like, "All right, y'all, let's go."
No goals, but no yellow cards either. This is my kind of game.
Yeah. So I had, Zaka got my 3 points. Then I went Ani 2, Dakota 1.
Okay, so that's not bad.
Yeah, because Ani's little marauding run, gave him that little tip over the edge on top of Dakota this time around for me.
Okay, that. Yeah. And I think there's a new tradition going around where the Red Army is going to be passing out the military helmet with all the stickers on it, giving that out to the player of the game. So Neil won that last night, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. Once again, City Stadium looked beautiful. It had 5,000 plus?
Yeah, I think it was 5,024, maybe something like that. I think it was
strong. That looks good, especially after the delay in the home opener and then the delay in the Open Cup. Funny enough, it still rained afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, at least it held off, right?
Yeah, so that's a good thing. We had a bunch of dogs in the stadium, which was really cool. And yeah, man, I keep going back to it, but I would rather us have the struggles in attack and have the strong defense than have the strong attack and then have the weak defense, because you can build up an attack over the course of the year. It's hard to build a defense over the course of the year, man.
Yeah, or also, I was a defender growing up, so I'm always going to have a little bit of a bias towards the defensive end.
Yeah,
but I feel like if you have a strong defense, we've seen even not in our favor, you can fluke a goal every now and then, and steal one that way. But if you're getting into shootouts and you just don't have it that day, and you're leaking, I'd rather roll the dice on fluking a goal than fluking a big time keeper performance.
Yeah. So, and honestly, let's just be real, yo. We haven't had that Akira type of game yet.
Well, we haven't had to be fair.
Yeah, we haven't had to. So, fair play. Even this, if you take the Charlotte game out, with the one we lost 2-1, and even on that, I can still make the argument that game should have been a draw. It should have been. It should have been.
I mean, they choked away a few really big chances. Probably, I would make the argument maybe it could have been more like 4 or 5-1.
I'm trying to deal with positivity, but
I get what you're going for, but it's to be fair,
that's true. Nah, but if you take that game out, the chances that Willie has faced so far this year and Akira hasn't really been anything sufficient.
No, it's been one decent save a game.
Yeah, that's it. And it's
not even high level challenge, just decent, chance. You'd expect any keeper at this level to be able to make. Not necessarily easy, but you'd be disappointed if they didn't do it.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll wrap up on that note. I know we didn't talk a lot about our upcoming U.S. Open Cup game against DC United because we're saving that for next weekend, where we're gonna I need to reach out to Ted. We're probably going to link up with RFK Refugees to talk about that game coming up. I haven't heard any news yet on his stream, so that should give you all the more incentive to make the trip up to DC. This game, according to you and Henry's great memory, and also Richard's, only happens like what, every 10 years or so?
It's been 10 years since it happened, but before that, we were in a run of 3 and 4 years.
Okay.
So we'll go into more detail. Last time you played them, 2013, went 0-0, went to penalties and didn't end up right on penalties. Even the year before, 2012, played them in the Open Cup down in Richmond, lost 2-1, but it was an extra time.
Yeah.
And then of course the real shining moment, 2004, kickers knocked DC out of the cup 2-1 at City Stadium. It was a fun one.
I imagine so. I know there was a picture put on today on social media by Bing Goosehorn. I think I retweeted it about the 0-1 team playing at RFK. Is that Ronnie? Is the goalkeeper? I can't really say.
No, that was let me pull up the picture. I'm pretty sure that was Mike McGinty, in that photo.
Okay.
Let me pull it up real fast. Yeah, that's McGinty. But I'm actually dropping article for the next one of the top 30 tomorrow, and spoiler that photo, one of those guys is it.
Oh, so that'll be fun to watch. Read.
Yeah.
So we got that, man. But yeah, be ready for that game next week. Hopefully there is an update on a stream soon, because I would really love to watch that game, because I have class and I cannot make it up. So
yeah, you can.
It's the final. I gotta take about it'd be weird taking my final in the middle of a DC United game. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is strong enough for me to take my final there.
Sure, guys.
We'll try.
Get yourself you like to big time it. Get yourself the press pass and
I should try that. Just sit there in class, be like, "Oh yeah, I'm listening." Matt, anything else from you, man, before we wrap up?
No, if you can get up to DC, A, away games are fun. B, away Open Cup games are more fun. C, away Open Cup games against MLS teams are the most fun.
Yeah.
It's a nice stadium. I think there's a chance that a team could actually be able to pull something off, because there's one thing that can do you well in a cup game. It's a solid defense. It was a good time, and then but also keep coming out to City Stadium. I imagine if you're listening to this, you already are. You're probably coming to every game anyway. But isn't it so much more fun when the stadium is if not packed full, very full?
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. I love it.
Great,
I love a packed City
great
Stadium.
atmosphere, and let's keep building that up. But also because there was confusion on when the DC game is. It's on Wednesday the 26th. So if you got to take time off of work, schedule that. It's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. So go ahead and do that. Once again, the game is Wednesday the 26th. So make sure you get up there, get ready for that. With that being said, that is Matt. I'm Elliot. We will holler at you guys next week. Keep it easy, y'all.